Hack and slash games are not popular in 2026, and this is not because it's a niche genre and there is no interest. In my opinion, this is because for the most part, most hack and slash games are bad products. And this statement is very painful for someone like me to say, who have been playing this genre for decades, and I played everything from games like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta's the blockbuster of the genre, to games that is much lesser known like Blood Rain, Astral Chain, and even Blades of Time, if you even know what that is. I am someone who spent an insane amount of time on these games trying to perfect my runs, trying to go for self-imposed challenges. I'm the type who will beat Ninja Gaiden on Master Ninja, and I played hundreds of hours of these games. Last week I was playing the original Bayonetta like 20 years later, and God knows how many times I've already beaten that game. And late last year a video game called Ninja Gaiden 4 came out, and Ninja Gaiden 2 is my favorite video game of all time. So I was beyond ecstatic for this. This was dream come true material, because I truly never expected to see that day where Ninja Gaiden 4 would be a reality, especially after the absurd success of Neo and the insane failure of Ninja Gaiden 3 and Ninja Gaiden. But hey, Ninja Gaiden 4 is a reality, and I'm very grateful that we even got it to begin with. But as I was playing Ninja Gaiden, as I was making content for Ninja Gaiden 4, I started to notice that there is almost zero momentum around this game. Ninja Gaiden 4 came and went, and no one cared. And hey, I liked Ninja Gaiden 4. I don't think I love it in the way that I loved Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, but I still liked it. But overall, it didn't seem like the game did that well, and judging by the reports coming out and the lack of comments on the sales number, it doesn't seem like Ninja Gaiden 4 did any good, to be honest. It seemed like it kind of flopped. And that really breaks my heart, because I do want to see more Ninja Gaiden, but I don't know if that's even gonna be possible. The issue now is whenever you try to discuss it with anyone, you always get hit with hack and slash games are just niche. And I don't think that is true at all. If it was true, then why is someone insta-locking magic in every game of Marvel Rivals? Or maybe actually there is other reasons for that. I wonder what it could be. But for real, those ideas that hack and slash games, there is no interest in them, they are just niche, that argument falls apart on frame 1 when you consider that there are games like Devil May Cry 5 that sold 12 million copies. There are games like God of War, the recent God of War games. And hey, I know that God of War is now part of the Sony single-player walk and talk emotional generator, but these games are still at their core hack and slash games. And combined, God of War and God of War Ragnarok, they sold about 40 million copies. And hey, you don't want to talk about the new God of Wars? Fine. God of War 3 with the remastered, with everything, have passed 10 million copies in sale. So the idea that this is a genre that have no interest and no one wanna play these games anymore, I honestly don't think this holds up well. Today I'm gonna talk about what in my opinion are the biggest flaws of the hack and slash video games that makes them not that appealing to the broader audience. Starting first with
What am I fighting for?
Know that you hack and slash purists right now, you are just rolling your eyes at the idiot making this video, because like story doesn't matter in hack and slash action games. And true, for people like us who really care about the genre, these games are about a sandbox. I have all of these amazing abilities, how can I style on these enemies, how can I beat this encounter, and self-imposed challenges, and hey, all of that is great, but we all know about the dudes that I like to call the chronicle mashers that will just play Devil May Cry and do triangle with Rebellion and never try to do anything else, and call these games button mashing games. And hey, I am not asking for hack and slash games to cater their gameplay, dumb it down, so that people who are not interested in messing around with the different abilities and actually trying to learn the game get better. All I'm asking for is to give them a reason to care. The main reason Devil May Cry 5 sold as well as it did, not because it is the best Devil May Cry game, it's because people really care about Dante. People care about Nero. People care about Virgil. And honestly, even if you are bad at the game and you're bad at the gameplay, I do think you still should get more out of that game. Stories matter, and if the story is appealing to the person who's playing, chances are they're gonna care about the game more. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying we have a repeat of Ninja Gaiden 3, where the game will constantly interrupt the flow of the gameplay for the sake of a story that is usually badly written. I'm talking about just make it so that when the story is there, the story is actually, good. Kind of like the Metal Gear Solid series. Metal Gear Solid have a stealth gameplay, and I know for a fact that just like hack and slash action games, there is a lot of gamers who are not fans of stealth, and most of the people who, when they try to play Metal Gear, they will try to sneak for a bit, but then they get caught and they will absolutely murder everyone in sight. But when the gameplay stops and the story starts, Metal Gear, at least 1 through 4, the story was really good. So it's like, even if you didn't care that much for the gameplay, the story kept you engaged, the story kept you hooked, and you constantly wanted to see what happens next. Unfortunately, it's extremely rare for hack and slash action games to deliver a decent level of storytelling and give you a story that is gripping enough for you to be able to continue and get attached to the game, even if you're trash at the game. I really think it's time that hack and slash action games start putting more effort into their stories and making sure that they are more appealing to the general audience. And remember the chronic masher that I was talking about? The issue right now is that many of the action RPGs have really solid action combat. Games like Final Fantasy 16, games like Tales of Arise, and others, even like Nier Automata, they have really high quality action combat. And for the chronic mashers, these games provide them with a lot more besides just mashing triangle, triangle, triangle with Rebellion. So if they compare Ninja Gaiden 4 to like a Nier Automata or a Final Fantasy 16, which one are they picking? Well, for me, it's clear. I think with the bar being raised so much with the action RPGs combat, it's about time for the hack and slash games to raise up their story bars a little bit. We really need to get it together, guys. And unfortunately, this extends to the other parts of the experience as well, right? For example, level design and pacing. When was the last time that you played a hack and slash or a character action game that was paced really well and had an interesting level design? When was the last time you actually had like a level design that was cool? The last one I could remember was like DMC Devil May Cry, but even Devil May Cry 5, for as good as it was, I think the level design and the environmental design was super repetitive and got old really fast, especially in like the second half of the game. And back to Ninja Gaiden 4, the pacing on Ninja Gaiden 4 was awful. It was just like a combat arena to a combat arena to a combat arena to a combat arena with some Subway Surf Rails minigame. Okay, let me talk actually about the Subway Surf Rails minigame. This was alright, doing it for like one time just to break up the gameplay a little bit, but for how overused this was, it was just an excuse for them to not create an actual level design, unlike say like Ninja Gaiden 1 that had like a proper universe, a proper city for you to explore. Here it was just a means to an end to get you to another combat arena, and that was fine when Heavenly Sword did it back during launch PS3. But right now, it felt cheap, it felt annoying, and it felt really comically out of place. I think when people take a look at the Souls-like, all they see is the difficulty, and they think that people wanna play these games because the combat's slow and because it's really hard. But that is not really true. Yes, combat is a big part of the Souls game, but a huge part is the level design. The world is actually interesting and you wanna explore it. A huge part of playing a game like Bloodborne or Elden Ring is that you always wanna check out that area, that next place that you see, but what is waiting there? Is it gonna be too hard for me to pass? Maybe I'm gonna find a really cool item. Maybe I'm gonna find a really cool boss. There is actually reason to explore. So you do have level design exploration that generates real emotion from the player, in addition to the combat, unlike hack and slash games that are just a combat arena after a combat arena. What I'm trying to say with these 2 points is that these games, as much as I love the action combat and just coming up with creative ways to interact with the games, they need to offer the players more than just the combat. They need to start paying attention to other aspects of the game. Some games like Devil May Cry 5, they gave you some interesting, like I thought finding arms for Nero was kind of like an interesting way to encourage looking around and encourage exploration a little bit. For the most part with these games, they are linear and you don't find anything that interesting or that engaging, maybe like a secret mission or so, but most of the players can just blow through the game really quickly and never really bother to explore or check out other aspects of the game or check out like the secret missions or whatever, because most of the times developers develop these games with the idea that not everyone's gonna care trying to explore anyways. And when you really think about it, the games that do really well in this space are the games that deliver on what I just mentioned. Devil May Cry made you care about Dante, made you care about Virgil, and now Dante is one of the biggest household names in all of gaming. Everyone knows who Dante is. And the same for Kratos. Maybe even in the original God of War, although the games didn't have the craziest story ever, people really cared about it. People wanted to know what happened, and the game delivered on a crazy spectacle that did keep everyone hooked. Even if you just did square square triangle with Kratos, you still really cared about the actual story and the next insane fight and quick time event. And even a game like Bayonetta 1, a game that sold 3.6 million copies, and that is absurdly impressive for a series like this. It was like the debut of the series, and you have a game that's genuinely like really hard to sell, but Bayonetta 1 was an absurdly good game. It delivered amazing combat. Bayonetta was one heck of a character, and people overall, I will say, really care about Bayonetta at this point. And hey, the gameplay and the level design and the pacing in general was spot on perfection, much better than a game like Ninja Gaiden 4, unfortunately, which hurts because, like I said, Ninja Gaiden is my favorite game in this genre, but Ninja Gaiden 4 is not hitting the way it should, and I'm not even gonna go about the technical aspects of Ninja Gaiden 4 and the super deep gameplay analysis. Just as a product, as a game, the pacing, level design, and everything, it was off. Anyways, what are your thoughts? Why are hack and slash games are not as popular as they could be? I don't want to say should be, at least could be, because I do think this is a genre that have a ton of potential and people generally love to look cool in video games, and melee combat is always a blast to do. I would love to hear your thoughts all about it in the comment section below. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter, and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.